Hi everybody, my name is Dennis and welcome back to another album review. Today we are reviewing the latest record from the Swedish post-punk group Viagra Boys, entitled Welfare Jazz. Now, I was kind of excited going into this thing. Viagra Boys have been an interesting voice in post-punk. I don't think they've really quite reached the grandiose or amazing records that other groups in the same style have had, such as Idols or Protomartyr. But I still think these guys have a lot of potential, and they have some great songs with some unique styles in there. One of the songs from their last record, Sports, is one of my favorite post punk songs, just in general. It is a great, great song. And I really love the simple, straightforward, slightly goofy songwriting that kept it lively and entertaining. And I was really hoping for more on that same style going into this here. And unfortunately, we did not. Instead of being silly and funny, the lyrics were laughable and horrendously written. The instrumentation has. Although I commend them for trying new things, none of the experiments here are really all that tasteful, except for maybe like one or two exceptions. And it just ends up being quite ugly, if anything, more often than not. Um, how we really got to this point, I don't know, but I was really disappointed to see a band with so much potential just kind of let it all crumble. Fortunately though, the album does start off with the amazing song "Ain't Nice." I love the heavy, aggressive, and punchy guitar riffs that go into this thing. There's these like high pitched, pingy sounds that are almost gorilla esque that I really loved in here as well. The lyrics that just make him seem like a piece of crap, but intentionally so, where it's like this is kind of his true intentions with the relationship, and he's just kind of a bad person. I love the characterization that it brings into this, and the way the narrative with this character is developed within the next couple of tracks is really good as well. I think it's a great song. It's easily the catchiest thing on here, and it is just so much fun to listen to. When I heard this as the first song on the album, I had really high hopes. And even though I'd say the first half isn't horrible, it's definitely inconsistent. Um, again, Ain't Nice, great song. I wish more of the record sounded like this, but unfortunately, right after that, we get one of what ends up being a slew of very awkward, out of place, and unenjoyable interludes in Coldplay. It's bland, it's forgettable, it's annoying if anything, and it adds nothing to the album. There's no need for this to be here. And other interludes on here, such as This Old Dog and Best in Show 2, suffer the same fate. They just accomplish nothing, add nothing, and make the experience a little more grating in between songs. The album could have easily done without any of these, and it's a glaring weakness, I think, because you can use interludes in a very interesting way, but when they sound as ugly as This Old Dog, as forgettable as Coldplay, and as just bland as Best in Show 2, there's really no need for them. But anyways, back to more, full length songs on here. Toad I thought was okay. I think the songwriting on here does build off of that kind of jerk persona built up in Ain't Nice. It's a much more on the nose and strikingly more sexist, but I think it plays into the character, and that's not really why I dislike this song. It's more the goofy Elvis-esque voice lines that we have at the beginning, the mediocre vocal performances, and the frankly boring instrumentals. I really wish that something more punchy, something more aggressive to kind of match that just total you love to hate character that is presented here. Ain't Nice did capture that emotion and that atmosphere perfectly. And Toad just doesn't. And then the whole thing of it being Toad is that he's gonna hop away and then he's gone. Which, okay, I guess. You don't really do anything with that metaphor, so it doesn't really add anything to the song, I don't think. Into the Sun was another decent track, I thought. It kind of concludes this story that we have here, where the rest of the album kind of goes into a different direction. at least from my perspective on it. But Into the Sun was pretty nice. It was definitely low key. I liked the muddy instrumentals, the kind of drawn back guitar lines, and easily one of, if not the best vocal performances on the record here. It ends up being a quite enjoyable track, and I like the way it develops that narrative that is presented in the previous few songs. It doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of building the character, but it progresses the narrative in a natural way, and I enjoyed that overall. After Into the Sun, Creatures is one I see a lot of people praising as one of the best songs on here, and I mean, it's not bad. It's not that great either. I don't know. I don't really see what's so amazing about it. It's just an okay synth pop song with a post punk singer on it. I mean, I do kind of like the atmosphere of the synths on here, but other than that, they don't really do much for me. There's much better synth pop out there. I know, there's better versions of it. That's not really an argument for why you shouldn't like something else, but it's just compared to so much other synth pop that's around right now, it does nothing all that interesting. It does nothing very unique. And if anything, I think the, gritty, aggressive post punk vocals on here are kind of an awkward, pairing. I don't know. It's an okay song. It's not bad, but I definitely don't really see the hype surrounding it. Six Shooter is the track after that, and this song it goes on longer than it should. I'm just gonna say that it goes on longer than it should. There's not enough change in there to really warrant it being this long, and it's a pretty constant rhythm and melody that goes throughout the whole thing, but dang is that one good melody. I really enjoy the jazz infusions toward the end of the song. It's catchy, it's fun, it's basically entirely instrumental, which works great in the track's favor. We don't have to worry about any of the abysmal songwriting that we are going to get into later. And it ends up being a decent enough track, one of the stronger ones on here. Had this been a much stronger record overall, would it stand out as much? Probably not, but in the context of a really disappointing record, it stands out as being better. And then we start to take a nosedive, a big nosedive. Secret Canine Agent. Oh my god. Is this one heck of a song? I guess instrumentally there's nothing interesting here. Vocally, he's not doing anything that he hasn't done better before. But what really kicks this song off is the horrible, horrible eye roll worthy dog puns that are scattered throughout this entire thing. I'm just. Why? And it all has this Perry the Platypus esque tone to it, the doobie doobie dooba type stuff going on. It's just goofy for all the wrong reasons. It's not goofy in the slightly tongue in cheek, funny way that something like Sports was. It's just stupid. It's really just stupid. I laugh at this song for all the wrong reasons. It's not funny. It's laughably bad. Just the whole thing is just the dogs are all secret agents in cahoots with one another, and they watch what you do and they spread the information around like some secret Illuminati society. Okay. All right, if you have your dog conspiracy theories, good for you, but it does nothing to bring forward the narrative that had been brought on other tracks. So, but nothing else after it really does either. I Feel Alive, another relatively boring cut on here. The instrumentals do nothing for me in the verses, and even though I think the kind of jazziness in the chorus is a bit nicer, it doesn't make up for it. The vocal performance is pretty weak, I think. I don't really like how, strained almost his voice seems here. It's not as punchy, it's not as gritty as it is on other tracks, and it just does not suit this kind of instrumental all that well. Girls and Boys, another track that I just don't see the hype around. It's one, again, that I see praised as one of the better songs on here from what I've read before, and I just don't get it. The songwriting is nothing to write home about. The instrumentals are okay. It's just an okay song. Better than average for this album, I guess, but it's not really saying much. It's just kind of boring. It's very cluttered. It's very noisy for no reason at all. There's just too much going on. The instrumentation is so dense. There's so much packed into it. It is just a noise fest. It's just like sensory overload, and I like some noisy stuff. There's nothing wrong with being noisy, but if you're going to be noisy, you need to be precise about it. That's what makes artists like Lightning Bolt so interesting, is how precise they can be with so much chaos and mess in their music. And there's just no rhyme, reason, or precision to anything done here. It's really, really messy, and it's really ugly sounding. And then we get two random country songs at the end here that are pretty bad. To the Country probably being the superior of the two, coming first. Songwriting is okay, but the vocals are awful. It is a horrible vocal performance. The verses have basically no production, so when the vocals are like shown front and center to you on here, and then it's a pretty pitiful performance, I think. It's just there's no reason for it. I mean, I guess the chorus is okay, but that's about the best I have to say about it. It's just okay. Everything else is bad. There's no reason I want to come back to this track. I get bored out of my mind every time I listen to it. I'm about 2 minutes in. I'm thinking, oh my god, how long is this song? And I look, I'm like, oh, it's only been going on for 2 minutes. There's still a whole minute left in this song. Why? What was the point of this? The experimentation is just all over the place, and it's not very good. And then after that is probably one of the worst songs I've ever heard from a post-punk group. In Spite of Ourselves is this awful, awful country ballad. And we have a featured vocalist here. It's just horrible. It's apparently a cover of a John Pride song, and I don't know why you would want to cover a song that is this poorly written. I just don't get it. It's really laughably bad. And not only that, but we also have a featured vocalist on here. It's Amy Taylor, and she sounds horrendous. Her voice is nails on a chalkboard. But beyond the awful singing from her, the ugly, horrendous harmonizations between the two of them here, and the really, really poorly produced mixing here, the lyrics are really just what takes the cake. And I guess, it's not all bad on them, because I guess it wasn't really their song. It's a John Prine cover, but like, you can cover a different song or not this one at all. Because I see like I'm reading the lyrics right now. When I see lyrics like, she looks down her nose at money, she gets it on like the Easter bunny. Um, you know, he ain't been laid in a month. He ain't been laid in a month of Sunday. I caught him once and he was sniffing my undies. She thinks all my jokes are corny. Convict movies make her horny. Uh, I I'm speechless. I'm really just speechless. And those are only a few of the highlights. This song is comedy gold for poorly written lines. I just don't know what was the thought process here. And just this whole album leaves me so confused as to what went wrong. Because we have pretty consistently underwhelming songwriting, except for a couple of exceptions towards the start. We have very awkward, head scratching experimentation, whether it be some weird jazz infusions on, stuff like uh, Secret Canine Agent and I Feel Alive, some awkward synth pop fusions and country ballads, and it's just all over the place. I don't get it. I really just don't get it. And there's not a lot of horrible stuff on here. It's just consistently underwhelming. It's like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. So, I guess all that, I'm feeling a strong 4 on this one. Again, just really, really disappointed. Few decent tracks, but consistently just not all that great. So if you listen to this, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the album. Be sure to tell me how wrong my opinion is in the comments as always, and I will see you in the next review.